This segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. We want to bring to you some updates from some of our agencies across the area. We're first going to start with an update from a story that was brought to you last week. Now the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office has charged a former employee of the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. Pictured here on Wednesday, Lafourche Parish Sheriff Craig Weber announced the arrest of a former Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Officer employee for child molestation. Chad White, again photographed here, 38 of Houma, was arrested on Tuesday in Lafourche Parish following his arrest in Terrebonne Parish last week. Last week in Terrebonne Parish, the Sheriff's Office investigators learned that White had been showing nude images of a woman to other individuals. He was terminated as an employee of the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office and arrested for non-consensual disclosure of a private image. White was booked into the Terrebonne Parish Criminal Justice Complex and released the following day after posting a $50,000 bail. As part of the investigation, detectives also learned of a possible molestation that had occurred in Lafourche Parish. Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office detectives alerted the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, which took over that portion of the investigation. Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office detectives learned White allegedly molested a young child under the age of 13 more than a decade ago. Following an investigation, they obtained a warrant for White's arrest. On Tuesday, June 3rd, detectives made contact with White and arrested him. He was booked into the Lafourche Parish Correctional Complex in Thibodaux with one count of molestation of a juvenile. Bail is set at $250,000. Now moving on to Assumption Parish. Assumption Parish Sheriff Leland Falcon reports the arrest of Terrell Toussaint Naquin, 27 of 219 Morrison Avenue, Houma, Louisiana, photographed here, on felony theft charges arising from an incident dating back to June 25, 2022. On the aforementioned date, deputies were dispatched to an apartment complex on Bruley Road in Labourdyville in reference to the chief complaint. Deputies made contact with the complainant, who advised that an individual now identified as Terrell Toussaint Naquin had stolen an electronic cellular device and accessories, as well as a key for her automobile, all totaling value of $1,300. At the conclusion of the investigation, deputies filed arrest warrants charging Terrell Toussaint Naquin with felony theft. On March 28, 2025, the Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office was notified by the Calafula Correctional Center that Terrell Toussaint Naquin was being held on unrelated charges in that jurisdiction. On June 4th, 2025, Naquin was released to the custody of the Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office. Terrell Toussaint Naquin was booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on a charge of felony theft. He remains incarcerated pending a bond hearing. In more news from Assumption Parish, 4 people were arrested in a domestic incident in Napoleonville over the weekend. Assumption Parish Sheriff Leland Falcon reports the arrest of Kent M. Capel, 40 of 663 Highway 403, Napoleonville, Louisiana; Gabriella Eve Capel, 19 of 663 Highway 403, Napoleonville; Garrett Joseph Doming Jr., 18 of 135 Daniel Street, Pierre Part, Louisiana; and Teresa Giselle Rivera, 40 of 663 Highway 403, Napoleonville, Louisiana, on charges arising from an incident which occurred at the aforementioned address. On Sunday night, deputies were dispatched to a local healthcare facility in reference to an individual being treated for injuries sustained in that disturbance. Deputies made contact with the individual, at which time they determined he had been injured in an altercation at the residence of the 600 block of LA 403. Deputies initiated an investigation and made contact with the remaining parties involved in the incident. At the conclusion of their investigation, deputies arrested these 4 individuals in connection with that incident. Again, pictured here, Kent M. Capel was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of second-degree battery. Capel remains incarcerated pending a bond hearing. Garrett Joseph Doming Jr., Gabriel Eve Capel, and Teresa Giselle Rivera were all booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of simple battery and released on bond. Now, in more news from Assumption Parish, Sheriff Leland Falcon reports the arrest of Triple Nita Thibodeau, 38 of 6500 Highway 1, Belle Rose, Louisiana, on felony drug charges arising from a traffic stop on Spur 70 in Platteville, Louisiana. A narcotics officer observed a vehicle commit a traffic violation on LA 70 Spur on Thursday and initiated a stop of that vehicle. The investigating officer made contact with the driver, now identified as Triple Nita Thibodeau, and engaged the driver in an officer-initiated interview. At the conclusion of that interview, the officer believed additional investigation was warranted. The deputy requested and was granted consent to search the vehicle. During the search process, a quantity of suspected cocaine was seized, as well as assorted drug paraphernalia. Triple Nita Thibodeau was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia. Triple Nita Thibodeau remains incarcerated with bond set at $7,500. And again, you hear me on the show talk all the time about the excellent police work that is done across parishes. Great examples of different agencies identifying the need for more investigation. Terrebonne and Lafourche working so very well together. Assumption and Morgan City working so very well together. Those things are wonderful, and St. Mary Parish as well, knowing that we're getting individuals off the street and working together to do so. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time, but don't go anywhere. We've got a whole lot more right here when we return.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health.